أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين. This is د.زلفى. Good morning everybody. Today inshallah we'll complete another part of the past perfect and the past perfect continuous. Okay. If you look at the list of sentences in front of you, you see we have some expressions. The first word in each sentence, hardly, then you have some other words, and when, hardly, space, when, or scarcely, written red, when, and again scarcely, when, barely, when, no sooner than. Okay, this expression indicates that something happened in the past, completed, it was perfect, then it is followed with another action. Hardly had I arrived is the first action which completed. He arrived when the phone rang. He arrived home, then the phone rang. One completed, then the other started. There is no interruption like the past continuous. One was continuous, it was interrupted. While he was running, he fell down. It's something different. Now here, the first action had finished, completed. Then the other one started. Hardly had I arrived when my phone rang. So two actions happened in the past. One followed the other. They happened in sequence. Look at the form. In the first sentence, we start with had, with hardly. We start with hardly. We begin the sentence with hardly. Okay? Look at it. Hardly had I arrived home when my phone rang. In the second sentence, look, I had hardly arrived home when the phone rang. Okay, what's the difference? Hardly had I. Where's the subject in the first sentence? It is after had, after the auxiliary verb. And in the second sentence, we start with I. Normally, we start with the subject, then the auxiliary verb in the other parts. You see? Which means that when we start the sentence with hardly, or with scarcely, or with no sooner, or with barely, we fix a sentence with a subject verb inversion. We change the position in the sentence, change the place in the sentence, change the subject and the verb. Now, first, we say hardly, then the helping verb or the auxiliary verb, then the subject, then the other parts of the sentence. Hardly had I arrived. But when we start with the subject, it is a normal sentence, no inversion. I say I had hardly arrived when my telephone rang. This is applied to the others. Scarcely had I finished reading when I fell asleep, or scarcely had she finished reading when she fell asleep. Okay. She had scarcely finished reading when she fell asleep. So the point I want to focus that when I want to start a sentence with one of these expressions, hardly, scarcely, barely, no sooner, also neither nor, they are all negative expressions. They indicate negative. Okay. If you say in Arabic, you say ما كدت أن أصل البيت. ما كادت أن تنتهي من القراءة حتى خرت نائمة. ما كدت أن أصل البيت حتى رن الهاتف. Okay, so as you see, now this is applied to the other sentences. Scarcely had, and she had scarcely, barely had, and they had barely. No sooner had the company launched its new product than it went bankrupt. So also when we have no sooner at the beginning of the sentence, we have the auxiliary verb or the helping verb, then the other, then the subject. Here are other examples, and look at we focus on the subject verb inversion. Yeah. Okay. Now, past perfect continuous. In the upper part, all of these expressions, all of these phrases are used with the past perfect had. No sooner had I had hardly arrived. I had scarcely finished. So all of these expressions are used with the past perfect, had plus the past participle. So remember this, all of these expressions are used with the past perfect, had plus the past participle. No sooner had I cleaned the house than my son started to throw dirt on the floor. Okay. Now, past perfect continuous. When I say something continuous, it means it lasted, we describe the duration or the time it lasted in a certain time. But when I say past, it means an action lasted for some time in the past. When I say perfect, it means that the action completed in a certain point of time in the past. So past perfect continuously. It consists of three conceptions. Past, past happened in the past. Perfect, it means complete. Now, continuous, it took a period of duration. So, the past perfect continuous, also called the past perfect progressive, is a verb tense which is used to show that an action started in the past and finished also in the past. Uh, it started and continued up to another point of time in the past. Or we can say it started in the past and finished in the past before another action happened. It was followed by another action. The past perfect form, past perfect continuous forms, the past perfect continuous form using had plus been plus the present participle. Questions are indicated by inverting the subject and had. Also negative are made with not. Now let's see the example. You had been waiting there for more than 2 hours. This is the duration. You have been waiting for more than 2 hours when she finally arrived. Question: had you been waiting for more than 2 hours when she finally arrived? And negative: you hadn't been waiting there for more than 2 hours when she finally arrived. Okay, look at this diagram. Now, the past perfect took a duration before something in the past. So you look at the arrow, the green arrow, it's the duration, then the cross, the blue cross when something else happened, and all in the past before the present. We use the past perfect continuous to show that something started in the past and continued up until another time in the past, or another action to happen in the past. You see the expression, the duration. We say you use expression like 4, 5 minutes and for 2 weeks are both durations which can be used with the past perfect continuous. Notice that this is related to, okay, that's enough. Look at the examples here. They had been talking for over an hour before Tony arrived. Okay. She had been working at that company for 3 years when it went out of business. How long have you been waiting to get on the bus? How long have you been waiting to get on the bus? See the question, we use how long. So sometimes we use the past perfect continuous to express cause. Use something in the past to express cause. For example, using the past perfect continuous before another action in the past is a good way to show cause and effect. Example, Jason was tired because he had been jogging. Sam gained weight because he had been overeating. So it gives the cause. But you have to mention the duration. If you don't mention the duration, some people may think that it is past continuous, not past perfect continuous. If you don't include the duration, a duration such as for 5 minutes, for 2 weeks, or since Friday, many English people or speakers choose to use the past continuous rather than the past perfect continuous. Be careful because this can change the meaning of the sentence. Of course, in the past continuous, you have interruption of the verb now or of the action now. In the past perfect continuous, you don't have interruption. The action completed, then the other followed. You see? Be careful because this can change the meaning of the sentence. Past continuous emphasizes interrupted action, incomplete action, whereas past perfect continuous emphasizes the duration of time before something in the past. Before something in the past. Thank you.